Hello fellas, I promised you some recipe ideas, and so welcome to Cooking Trail Foods with Nathan. I'm gonna spill the beans on my breakfast trail porridge. Doesn't have beans in, anyway we'll come to that. And show you how to turn this into these. Why would you want to know how to do such a thing? Well, because it's a delicious and nutritious and fast way of getting your breakfast sorted out. It even reduces mess and fuss. So what's not to like about that? I'll just add the caveat that while I've been eating this sort of trail porridge for a little while, because I realised, oh, it's massively cheaper than buying it from online spaces and takes up less space, and I can put in all the ingredients I like. I do vary ingredients, so nothing that you see me demonstrate here is a rule. This is just the general principle of how to make tasty porridge. The basic ingredients are some sort of oats, some milk powder, and then there are a couple of what I think of as accelerants, one of which is flaxseed, and one of which is chia seeds. Hooray! So this is what I think of when I hear the word chia seeds. Hooray! Because they're sort of a bit superfoody, but they're also mucilagens, which doesn't sound tasty, but it does thicken up your porridge nice and quick. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's get on to making some. So here is a bowl. I will be showing you how to make about 2 days worth, and then you can just multiply up for the amount of days that we're going to be in Scotland needing to breakfast, which will be Saturday, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. So that will be at least 4. Obviously for those of us who arrive the night before, it depends what our morning arrangements are. I will probably be bringing something which I can cook from wet with a flameless ration heater. Anyway, that's another story. Let's get back to the porridge. So rather than using fancy weighing scales, which I don't have, I brought these. So I'm going to use these instead. Ingredient number 1, big oats. You don't have to have ones with an unpronounceable Irish name, Flahavens, but you can if you want, because they're big. They're sort of big oats like that. So I put 1.5 handfuls of that, and then this is normal Sainsbury's Scottish porridge oats, taking them all the way from the southeast of England back to Scotland, so they'll feel right at home on the trail. So a handful of those. So you've had 1.5 handfuls of big oats, 1 handful of kind of normal porridge oats. Okay, happy days. Then we're going to get the chia seeds, and put them in. If you, no, they're quiet at the moment, but I'm sure they say hooray when we're not looking. So these are quite easy to get all over the floor because they're slippy. So just be careful how you handle your chia seeds. Hooray! And then other things go in there as well. Oh yeah, so I've had a spoonful of that. I'm going to put a spoonful of flaxseed in there. This is cold milled flaxseed, which is probably good for you or something. Anyway, so that's the sort of, what we're going to call that, a rounded dessert spoonful. There we are, that's what I'm going to call that. So that goes in there. Now when it comes to spice, my friends, I like to go with one of 2 types of spice, either ground mixed spice, that's my preference because it's got loads of different spices in, or just ground cinnamon. I would use probably a little bit less cinnamon than I would use ground mixed spice because that's quite potent stuff. So if I was using ground cinnamon, I'd probably use, for that amount of stuff, I'm going to say about 1/4 to 1/3 teaspoon. Whereas the ground mixed spice, it's not a hot spice, it's a sort of baking type spice. I'm going to go for sort of one level teaspoon like that. There we go. That's on the kind of quite flavoursome end of ground mixed spice in terms of the quantity. Right. So I've got one more ingredient to put in at this juncture, which is milk powder. So this is just some stuff I got from Sainsbury's. Instant full cream milk powder Yeah, absolutely. Job's a good one. So we're going to go with, again, sort of rounded dessert spoonfuls. 1, 2, and let's call that a half. Fabulous. Put that back in there because we don't want that going all over the kitchen. Now you'll see I have other things here. Currants and raisins, but I'm not going to put those in until the end, because when you mix them and then you try and put them in other containers, all of the raisins go to the bottom and you can never be quite sure that you've equally distributed them, which you might find upsetting. So we'll put those in at the end. I'm going to use the back of the dessert spoon to stir this around, and my hands as well, because they are clean and it just makes it a little bit quicker. So I'm just mixing those all around just to make sure all the dry ingredients are thoroughly mixed. So we'll do that. There we go, they're thoroughly mixed. Good. This is my camping mug, and what I realised is that much ingredients makes about half of one of these, and about a quarter of one of these of dry ingredients is good for one breakfast's worth. So, given that I measured that out already, I'm going to put from here into here until I get to a quarter of a mug's worth. I'm not going to count it out really, I'm just going to observe with my visual eyes. Well, that's slightly too much. I'm not sure you can quite see in terms of where the light is, but that's about a quarter of a mug. So I'm going to go from here into here, the lovely IKEA sandwich / freezer bags. So these are called Isted or something, and I'm using the little ones, which are 0.4 of a litre or 14 ounces for our American friends. Open up the Isted and put in all of the dry ingredients. Okay. Now, if you're in a hurry, you might be tempted at this point to just seal it up, but don't, my friends. Remember the fruit. So I'm going to get that. I'm putting about a dessert spoonful of, yeah, you get extra points if you get them all in the bag and not on the table. I haven't managed it yet. So that's, yeah, 1 dessert spoonful of raisins. But I like raisins, so plus a bit. There we are. I'll leave that to your own discretion. Right, you don't need to mix them all in particularly, and then seal until you're almost all the way across. But leave a little air gap, because what you're going to do, for the sake of logistical magic, is squeeze the air out. Look at that, and then you've got your own super neat little packet. Come on, what's not fabulous about that? So I'm going to hold that up. So that is, my friends, 1 portion's worth, 1 day's worth, breakfast-wise. And where we go from here is one of 2 ways. So let's discuss how to reconstitute these dry ingredients into a super tasty breakfast. According to IKEA, these can receive hot liquids up to 50 degrees. But then I was thinking, do you know what? Rob and I, when we were in the United States of America and the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, we were very kindly provided with homemade, pre-made travel food, including some tasty porridge type things. And they all came in plastic bags, and we just poured the boiling water straight into the bags. So I did some research and had a look, and it basically says, well, they're rated up to 50 degrees C, and if you go beyond that, there's some questions about could the plastic leach into the water, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, why don't we just give it a try? So moments ago, I just gave it a try. I boiled the water, and then I poured it on until it was about up to about here. So just level with the top of the circles. I did that, and then I left it for, I'm going to say 5-7 minutes, something like that, until what happened was this. Wait there, I'll get it. used this hand towel to represent some clothing you might have with you on the trail, within the folds of which you could place your recently hot water added little plastic sachet of breakfast goodness for 5 to 7 minutes, so that it is thermally insulated while it rehydrates. And what happens is it goes from that to that. That's the one that's ready. And it didn't take very long, and it's still pretty warm. Look at that, and you'll see all the ingredients expand, and it stays quite warm in there, but it didn't melt the bag. And I've had a few mouthfuls, and it tastes very much of trail porridge and not of plastic. So, my friends, you may decide, will I run the gauntlet and pour the hot water into my plastic baggie, as our American friends would say, or the other thing that you can do, which is quite acceptable, is to take the dry ingredients, thus, and place them into a pot or vessel which either already contains the hot water, or probably more conveniently, put it in dry, then pour the hot water on top, stir it around a bit. The only real advantage is if you don't make it in the pot, then you don't have to wash up the pot. And also you can be using the pot for other things like, oh, I don't know, making your morning coffee, for example, which I find quite an important thing to do. So there we are. We've gone from these ingredients to one of those, and obviously I've got enough for 2 days in that set of ingredients that I just measured out. So just a quick recap on the ingredients. It was 1.5 handfuls of big oats, 1 handful of porridge oats. It was 1 dessert spoonful of chia seeds. Hooray! 2.5 dessert spoonfuls of, what's that? Powdered milk, yes. And then the other thing, 1 dessert spoonful of flaxseed, and then some ground mixed spice, which I like. You might like to put something else in there, and I put in sort of a level teaspoonish in the quantity that I made earlier, and then I waited until the end before I put the raisins in. You could put currants in, you could put no fruit in, you could find other bits of dried fruit and put it in there as an alternative. You could, so I've been told, put nuts in there, but I leave that to your discretion. So that's trail porridge. I've been eating it like that for some time, and I still like it. It's not super sugary sweet, so if you need super sugary sweet, well, I'll leave you to work out how to make that happen. Not too complicated. And there we are. I'm not going to ask you to click on a link or subscribe to anything because I'm not even on YouTube, at least not most of the time. But I will post this in your direction soon, and I'm very much looking forward to our Scottish adventures. So, ochai the new, and I'll be seeing you soon.